This
Hi,
conference will now be recorded.
hi Kishore.
Hi,
Kishore, so let's continue with our demo session. But before we jump into the discussion, I just wanted to know, are you from IT background or you're from non-IT? Yeah, friends, online
I'm
participants.
IT background.
Yeah, okay.
I have experience on 3 years with the Salesforce administration, but I
Salesforce.
want to move with the DevOps. Yes,
Devops. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah,
that's why I'm attending this demo class.
perfect, perfect. And others,
Yeah,
friends, others.
thank you.
Uh, Hi, Ramya, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes,
Ramya, just wanted to know, are you from IT background or you're from non-IT?
IT.
Okay, okay, cool. Friends, so let's continue with our discussion. So today's concept is all about, I would say, there's a quick overview on DevOps and cloud. So let's understand what exactly is DevOps and, as a DevOps engineer, what you learn and is it a, what's say, is it a platform that is going to that when you learn DevOps, is it going to help you in the long run or not? Let's try to understand all this in detail in the session today. Okay, but before we dive in, my name is Prashant. I got around 14 plus years of experience in IT, and for the past 7 years, I got deployed into projects that are related to DevOps and cloud. I've been training people on DevOps and cloud for the past 2 years. That's a quick intro about me, and yeah, let's jump into our discussion, friends. So, coming to DevOps, it's not a technology like Java full stack or Python full stack or some what's it database administration or something like that. It's a set of principles and practices that are implemented in software development to software delivery. DevOps is not a technology, it's a set of principles and practices. It's a culture that we adapt in software development to software delivery, where we try to fulfill few things in our DevOps journey. What are they? Deliver a software to a client in time, ensuring quality. You got to make sure that a product, a software product, no matter it's a product based company or a service based company, every software organization, they try to fulfill some business needs. The listed ones on the screen, these are the business needs every software company want to fulfill. What are they? Deliver a product to the client in time, ensuring quality, get a cost effective solution with reduced outages. So if we try to relate these business needs with an example, and let's say if I own a software company. And by the way, all of us know Telugu, friends. Andru Telugu వాళ్ళమేనండి? Yeah, we got participants here.
Yes,
Ramya, Kishore.
Prashant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Fine,
yeah,
fine.
yes, Prashant.
Fine. I'll convey. I'll discuss in Telugu too. Okay. Yeah. So Prati software company kuda, they want to fulfill some business needs, which are displayed here. Continuous delivery of software, ensuring higher quality with cost optimization or lesser spending and reduced outages. And let's say if I own a software company and Ramya, she owns a banking firm. Now Ramya wants a software for her day-to-day business transactions to run her bank. So Ramya approached me, my software company, and she said, Prashant, I need a software. And now, as a software organization, I have to ensure that I develop a software for her and deliver that software to her in time. And when I deliver the software product to Ramya, I have to make sure that the software has no bugs, no challenges, nothing at all. Because in the long run, my client should not face any downtime, face any challenges when he or she started their business. So I have to, as a software company, I got to develop a product and deliver the product to my client in time, ensuring quality. And next, cost optimization, meaning now Ramya for her software, to get a software. She invests a lot of money for her software in my software organization. Now, as a software company, I got to make sure that if I got to do profits, whatever the investment Ramya is making, I have to make sure I spend less and give her a better solution. If let's say the deal between me and Ramya for her software is established, let's say some $1 million. If I spend all $1 million for her product, how do I gain profits? How do I sustain in the industry as a software company? So what should I do? I have to get a solution with lesser spending, meaning I have to spend less out of my client investment and I have to give them a better product. So we got to identify cost effective solutions and finally reduced outages meaning no matter with what say technology you develop a software, no matter with what better solutions you add and develop an application to a client, obviously at some point of time the software will fail, right? No matter what technology, what advancement you made in a software development, at some point of time the applications of the client will fail. Now we should understand that and make sure that whenever an application of a client fails, we got to reduce that outage to a very minimal level. Like let's say the application software should get updated from one version to another version at the client level. During the transition, the software might not work. In such a case, we have to make sure that we address we get a solution that reduces that outage. That transition process should get reduced to a very minimal level. అంటే ఇక్కడ మనకి లెట్స్ సే మనం చూస్తుంటామండి ఫోన్ పే, పేటిఎం, గూగుల్ పే, ఈ అప్లికేషన్స్ మనం యూజ్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు వి ఫేస్ ఛాలెంజెస్. కొన్నిసార్లు ఫోన్ పే రన్ అవ్వదు, లేదా పేటిఎం రన్ అవ్వకపోవచ్చు. In such a case, what we do, we immediately switch to another application. ఫోన్ పే డౌన్ అయితే మనం వెంటనే పేటిఎం తోటి ట్రాన్సాక్షన్స్ చేస్తున్నాం, లేదా గూగుల్ పేతో. అంటే ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ డౌన్ అవుతుంటే క్లయింట్స్ ఏమవుతున్నారు, కస్టమర్స్ ఏం చేస్తున్నారంటే దే ఆర్ జంపింగ్ టు అనదర్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్. సో నౌ బిజినెసెస్ దే అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్, businesses they know. Now let's say a banking firm, if at all their application is down, what happens? If at all a banking firm's application is down, what happens is um, the clients of that bank, they might reach to another another bank. They might do their transactions with another bank. So that is where I have to ensure that the applications of my client are always running. So and there should be a reduced outage. So for that, what we do, we as software organizations, we adapt some development models. We adapt some approaches to make sure that we meet all these business needs. So for that, there are different software development models available in the market. Sorry, in the industry, like waterfall model, spiral model, V model, and so on. These are all nothing but a discipline of activities that we implement in software development to delivery process, like a roadmap. Software development to delivery is not just a one day activity or one person does everything. There are multiple teams involved. It is a process, it's a journey that since the day of inception of a software development, we got to go through several phases in this software development process and finally deliver a product to the client. So for that, there are different models available which organizations adapt. అంటే మీరు చూడండి, ఇప్పుడు లెట్స్ సే ఇఫ్ ఐ గోట్ టు ట్రావెల్ ఫ్రమ్ హైదరాబాద్ టు వైజాగ్, మనకి డిఫరెంట్ మీన్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఉంది. ట్రైన్, బస్, రైట్, క్యాబ్ ఆర్ మేబీ a flight and so on. Based on your requirement, based on your budget, you choose a means of transport. If I want to go very fast, emergency, in 2 hours I should be there, or in 3 hours, in such a case we prefer to go on a flight. No problem, I want to go hassle free. If I get if I got to get by tomorrow, I may book a bus. Or let's say I'm allergic to bus or public transport, I want to go by my own transport. In such a case I prefer to choose my own car. ఇలా డిఫరెంట్ అప్రోచెస్ ఉన్నాయండి. అండ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ అప్రోచ్ వాట్స్ హ్యాపెనింగ్, దెర్ ఈస్ అగైన్ అ బడ్జెట్ కన్స్ట్రైంట్, that that increases or that decreases. So now, as a software development company, you have to adapt some approach that satisfies all these business needs. So for that, we got different software development models, and every model has its own advantages and disadvantages. Back in the past, we used to go with an approach called traditional SDLC, waterfall model, where we collect all the requirements for the project, analyze, design, code, test, and release the product. We develop an entire software for the client at a time and deliver the product to the client in one go. Like, let's say, as I took an example right at the beginning, if I were to develop a software to what's say Ramya's bank, I develop that entire software and deliver that entire software to my client in one go. That might take 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. So till then, my client should wait, because without a software, they cannot perform their business activities. So in a traditional approach, there are a lot of challenges, like we are unable to deliver a product to the client in time, and it's a process where once developers develop the entire software, then only test team tests the application. Likewise, customer is not an active participant. Client doesn't know what's happening with their software until they are welcomed for a test called UAT, user acceptance testing. There are a lot of challenges with this traditional approach. The major challenge is client is investing more money. అంటే ఇప్పుడు రమ్య, she is investing lots of money for her software, but she cannot start her business until the software is developed, and she doesn't know what is happening with her software until we release it maybe after 2 years or 3 years. Meaning, investment, their clients are doing blindly, but they don't know what are they going to get out of that investment. Ultimately, నేను ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ రిలీజ్ చేశాను, and రమ్య, she started her business, but she is facing a lot of challenges with the software. After waiting for a long 3 years of time, they're not happy with this product which we released. So this way, traditional approach of software development phase, there were a lot of challenges involved. And in the current day scenario, this approach is not at all appreciated, because we are living in the era where what's happening, software become a commodity. Every day we are using lots of softwares. Whatever the activities we are doing, everything is linked up with a software. Metro train తీసుకోండి, a software, with the help of a software only, we are punching a ticket and getting into a train, right? If we were to travel, flight tickets we are booking online, right? Transactions, your day to day transactions, let's say simple groceries కి వెళ్తున్నాం, like bread and milk to get, you're doing a UPI payment and you're getting back. So as Bill Gates predicted long ago, what's happening in the current day scenario, we evolved to a state that software become an everyday commodity. But without a software, we are not sleeping. Without a software, we are not waking up. So to that level, to that extent, we grew. So now to match this a rapid evolvement of software, and to match this software rapid growth of software, we got to adapt approaches where software should be developed and delivered to the clients faster. So for that, there is a software development model called Agile, which organizations are adapting at a high level. Clients don't want to wait for 3 years or 4 years for their entire software. They want their softwares faster so that they can develop the applications and deliver the applications to the client in time. Sorry, they want to get started off with their business within a very short time frame. Now, Ramya says, Prashant, I want to start my business to the earliest. And I don't want a software with all the features right away. Provide me a software so that I can start my business within a very short time frame. Now, what we do here in Agile software development happens in this fashion, in an incremental fashion. So again, here, friends, let's discuss a quick example. Say, friends, let's say I created a bank account today, and tomorrow I'm applying for a bank loan. Do you think I'm going to get a loan? Yeah, friends. Today, I got a bank account created with HDFC, and tomorrow I'm applying for a loan. Do I get a loan immediately? No. The answer is no. Why? because there are some rules, some guidelines, like when you create a bank account, or if you want to avail some loan from bank, at least you should hold a bank account, or you should hold an account with them at least for 6 months or 1 year. Then you are considered as a valid person to what say to apply for a loan. Even at that time, there are a lot of things they consider, like how many transactions you did in that year, what is your account history, how much amount do you have in your account. They consider all, and then they provide you with a what's a loan. Now let's say Ramya, she is starting her banking business, and initially she is not going to offer any loans to her customers because that's a new business, and until 1 year they are not going to provide any loans to their customers. So now developing an application software to Ramya's banking with all loans feature is not required, right? For her to start a business, all she needs is a software with a, let's say, customer account creation, deposits, fixed deposits, withdrawals, and balance inquiry. If we develop a software with only these minimal features and deliver to her, she can start her business with only those features initially. And later point of time, what we do, we add some more features to the software like net banking, phone banking, email banking. Okay. Some more additional features we develop and deliver as a as a software, and release it to the bank. Again, after some point of time, what we do, we add some more features like gold loans, education loans, and personal loans, and so on, and we deliver that functionality to the bank. Meaning, we make a release. So in the current day scenario, excuse me, applications are developed in this fashion. No business wants their entire software developed at a time, and they don't what's a they don't consume all the features right away. So accordingly, what we do, we as a software company, we understand the priorities of the client. We break the entire application software of the client into multiple modules, and in a modular fashion, in an incremental fashion, we develop and deliver a product to the client. This is what is happening in the current day scenario. Agile way of software development is being widely adapted, and we develop and deliver a product to the client in an increasing order. Okay, so agile software development, friends. Here, what happens is we understand the priorities of the client, and we make sure that a software is developed and delivered to the client in time, and releases are the priority here. ఓకే సో ఇక్కడ మరలా మీకు ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎట్లా చెప్పొచ్చు అంటే, లెట్స్ సే ఫ్రెండ్స్, ఒక రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ టీమ్ ఉందండి. ఆ రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ టీమ్ వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే, దే ఆర్ ఇన్వెస్టింగ్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ మనీ ఫర్ సమ్ అపార్ట్మెంట్. వాళ్ళు ఒక ప్లాట్ తీసుకున్నారు, ఆ ప్లాట్ పైన అపార్ట్మెంట్ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. అండ్ వాట్ దే వాంటెడ్ టు డూ ఇస్ construct an apartment, some 10 floors apartment, and sell all the flats and make money. But the government rule is, after all the entire apartment is completed, then only they can sell the flats. Now this real estate team, they're investing money for that apartment, putting more and more and more and more money. We'll investing, but the apartment is not yet complete. 1 year అయిపోయింది, 2 years, 3 years, వీళ్ళు ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు కానీ there is no return. Nobody is buying the flats because the government says once the entire apartment is completed, then only you can sell the flats. So they are not getting any returns for whatever they are investing in the apartment. Once the entire apartment is completed, then they are selling the flats. But let's say what's happening now, after selling, when they're selling, they're not what's say getting as expected. ఈ లోపు చాలా అపార్ట్మెంట్స్ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ అయిపోయాయి, and they are offering lesser price than them. Now what's happening, they're not getting enough returns, they're not getting the amount as they expected. Now let's take the same example in a different way. Now let's say apartment constructions happening, the real estate team, they're investing money, and now there's a government rule that you know you can sell the flats. If the ground floor is over, you can sell ground floor flats. If the first floor is over, you can sell first floor flats to the to customers. Now if this is the approach, what happens, the apartment construction is still ongoing, and the real estate team, once the ground floor is over, they are selling the flats and making money. అంటే వీళ్ళు ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేస్తున్న దానికి దే ఆర్ గెటింగ్ సంథింగ్ ఇన్ రిటర్న్ విత్ ఇన్ అ వెరీ షార్ట్ టైమ్ ఫ్రేమ్. The apartment is still under construction, but they are still making money for whatever the investments they are doing. So agile software development ఇలాంటి ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అండి. You just try to relate it. Now Ramya, she invested a lot of money for her software, but now what's happening, she's getting something in return. Whenever some module of software is completed, we are releasing that product. And Ramya, she can immediately start start her business with that released software. As time progresses, we add more and more features, and we try to release the applications, more and more applications to the client. So in this order, software development to delivery happens, and we make sure that we develop and deliver a product to the client in time. Agile software development approach is something like this. Okay, and for this approach, there are a lot of teams involved, and this is a quick workflow of agile. So module one, a team of developers write code for module one, and they integrate all their code in some version controlling system like GitHub. అంటే మీరు ఐటీ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ అన్నారు కాబట్టి ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయినింగ్ వాట్ ఈస్ గిట్, వాట్ ఈస్ గిట్ హబ్ అండ్ ఆల్. దట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్ ఐ ఇనిషియలీ ఆస్క్డ్ ఆర్ యూ ఫ్రమ్ ఐటీ ఆర్ యూఆర్ ఫ్రమ్ నాన్ ఐటీ. ఎందుకంటే గిట్ హబ్ అనేది అందరికీ తెలిసిందేనండి. ఇట్స్ అ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ వేర్ డెవలపర్స్ ఇంటిగ్రేట్ ఆల్ దేర్ కోడ్ టుగెదర్. Once they bring all their source code here, what happens, a build team, they bring all that source code, compile it and create a software package. So Java programming మీరు రాసుంటే, in Java when you write a program, you write in human readable format like public class Java, public static void main, system.out.println. It has some in plain English you write instructions, but a machine doesn't understand those instructions. So what we do some process called compilation. Then what happens, that source code is compiled into machine understandable format like a dot class file కింద convert అవుతుంది. And a dot class file holds all machine instructions, and then a machine understands them and gets you the result. Likewise here, when developers write code, we got a process called a build process where the entire source code is compiled into machine readable format, and that entire compiled code is created as a package, a software package. That software is tested by a team called QA here, and a QA team tests that application. If there are challenges, QA routes back to the development team, asks them to rework on that source code. If at all everything is fine, the application is released to the client. Simple agile workflow only, right? So this simple agile workflow has multiple teams involved, like a development team who writes source code. Development team lo marla front end developers and back end developers, right? And test team, QA team, build release. Likewise, we got what's say. Likewise, we got release managers, system administrators, database administrators, project managers. అట్లనే the servers that are required for us, an operational team who creates servers for us, who install packages for us and all. So there are a lot of teams involved, and if here, if all the teams work together, what happens is a product gets developed and delivered to the client in time. If at all there is no proper connectivity between the teams, what happens is the application is not going to get released to the client in time. So agile web software development lo మనకు వస్తున్న మెయిన్ ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటంటే no proper connectivity between these teams. And what's happening, ultimately the release is not happening. Our motive is to release a software to the client in time, but we are not able to release the product to the client in time because of some coordination issues between the teams who are involved in this process. So for that, what is the solution? అట్లనే సెకండ్ ఛాలెంజ్ ఐడెంటిఫై అయింది ఏంటంటే, a developer developed a software that is working fine on his machine, but the same software when they deployed to test, a test team identifying that the software is not working fine for them. So a test team is not approving the product to release to the client, and a test team says developer that the software is not working fine, and a developer says the software is working fine on my machine. So this way there are some environment issues arised. The two major factors we are not able to release the product to the client in time. So now what is the solution to make sure that a product gets developed and delivered to the client in time? Means we adapt DevOps culture. We adapt DevOps culture. అంటే ఈ టూ ఛాలెంజెస్ ని మీరు ఎట్లా ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎట్లా చెప్పొచ్చు అంటే, సే ఫ్రెండ్స్, we all order things online like food. Okay, Swiggy, Zomato లో ఫుడ్ ఆర్డర్ చేస్తాం. What happens when you order food? You pay money, okay, and you order some food. Some restaurant receives your order, and what happens? They prepare the food. Once they prepare the food, and the food chains ఎట్లా వర్క్ అవుతాయి అంటే, వాళ్ళు ఫుడ్ ప్రిపేర్ చేశాక some delivery guy, they reach there, pick the food and finally deliver to us, customer. Now what's happening is, in this process, you invested money already, you placed an order, and some restaurant received your order, and the restaurant team, they are preparing food for you. And once they are done with their job preparing the food, what happened is, the restaurant guys are like, my job is done, let the delivery guy come and pick the food. But what happened is, the rest sorry what happened here, the restaurant, they are in a mindset that we are done with our job. Now it's the job of a delivery guy to come and pick the food. And the delivery guy is with a mindset, let's say, let the restaurant call me so that I'll go and pick the food. Now both of them are correct in their perspectives, but what's happening, ultimately we are the sufferers because we ordered food but it's not getting delivered to us in time. So what is the challenge here? There is no proper connectivity between a delivery guy and a restaurant, and ultimately a client who invested money, he is not getting his product in time. So the same happens here too, friends, when there are multiple teams involved in a software development to delivery process. If all the teams are working within their boundaries, what happens? Releasing a product to the client becomes pretty much challenging. That is what one major challenge identified: coordination issues in Agile. And the second challenge is applications behavior. The application software which is developed by a developer working fine for him, but the same software when deployed to test, it's not working fine. Or the same software when released to production, it's not working fine on a release environment. So all of us, we use mobile phones, right? Some of us might be using iPhones, some of us might be using Android phones, and our phones are of not the same configuration. Some of our phones are highly configured, 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, or 12 GB or 16 GB of RAM. What's a Snapdragon processor, a MediaTek processor, or maybe iOS, iPhones 13 or 12, whatever. Across the globe, if you observe, all of us, we are consuming WhatsApp. No matter what our mobile phones are, we are all consuming WhatsApp. అంటే చూడండి, సాఫ్ట్వేర్ హార్డ్వేర్ చేంజెస్ ఉన్నా కూడా అక్రాస్ ద గ్లోబ్ అందరము వాట్సాప్, ఫేస్బుక్, ట్విట్టర్, యూట్యూబ్ ఇలాంటి అప్లికేషన్స్ అన్ని సాఫ్ట్వేర్, అన్ని హార్డ్వేర్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్స్ పైన వర్క్ అవుతున్నాయి. Then why not a software developed by a developer behave the same on a QA server or a production server? అంటే ఇక్కడ we got to bring our applications to a platform, to platform independent. ఇక్కడ ఛాలెంజ్ ఏమై ఉండొచ్చు అంటే, ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అది రన్ అవడానికి కావాల్సిన ప్యాకేజెస్ సమ్ 1.0 వెర్షన్ కావాలండి. బట్ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్ ఆన్ అ QA సర్వర్, ద సేమ్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ యూ డిప్లాయిడ్, బట్ ద డిపెండెన్సీస్, అప్లికేషన్ కావాల్సిన ప్యాకేజెస్ మనం ఇక్కడ కాన్ఫిగర్ చేసినవేమో సమ్ 5.0 వెర్షన్. So that is making the application behave weird from platform to platform. So how do we address this challenge? How do we address this challenge means, we have to make sure that we package our application software along with its dependencies so that everywhere the software behaves the same. We have to package the software along with its dependencies. అంటే చూడండి, మనకి కొన్ని when we go with clothing, one particular brand clothing, XL size fits you, but the same XL size if you try with another brand, it won't fit you. మీకు లూజ్ అవ్వచ్చు, లేదా it might be very tight, because the dimensions of XL for one company is different from the dimensions of XL for another company. So what should you do now if you want to make sure that a shirt when you order that fits you, XL size that fits you, what should you do? You have to purchase a shirt of the same brand. Then you are super confident that shirt definitely fits you. So like that, Whenever an application software is developed, if you want to make sure that the application behaves the same across all the platforms, you have to deploy the same application with the same set of packages. So for that, we got a technology called containers technology, Docker as a tool, using which what we do, we make sure that whatever the application we deploy or release to client, or we send it to testing everywhere, we make sure that the application and its dependencies are all gathered together. So the challenges here we address with DevOps. We bring forth a DevOps culture in our software development to delivery, and make sure that we speed up this process of software development to software delivery. So if we go by the textbook definition, DevOps is a set of practices. I said right at the beginning, DevOps is not a technology. It's a set of practices. It's a culture that we adapt in software development to software delivery to shorten this systems development life cycle. And we have to ensure that a product is developed and delivered to the client in time. Okay, so DevOps is complementary with agile software development. అందుకే మనం agile సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అంటే ఏంటి, అట్లనే ట్రెడిషనల్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఇవన్నీ మాట్లాడుకుంటూ వస్తున్నాం. Just because to make you understand what exactly is your role as a DevOps engineer. మనం ఏదో క్యూబర్నెటిస్ అనే టూల్ లేదా డాకర్ నేర్చుకుంటే సరిపోతుంది అని కాదండి. యూ హ్యావ్ టు మేక్ ష్యూర్ దట్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద పర్స్పెక్టివ్ ఆఫ్ అ DevOps engineer. The perspective of you as a DevOps engineer is to make sure that you develop and deliver a product to the client in time. Releases are your priority, ensuring high quality. Okay, at any cost you have to release the product to the client in time. So for that, of course, we have a bunch of tools in hand. We should know which tool to use when in this entire software development to delivery process. Understand what is the challenge, where the software is struggling, where are we struggling to release a product to the client in time. Understand the challenge and address the challenge with the tools that we learn, and ultimately release the product to the client in time. Make sure that the motive of Agile, which is releases ensuring quality, is fulfilled at any cost. Now, friends, so DevOps is not a technology, it's a set of practices that we enable in software development to delivery process. So, for that, the best practices we adapt are enable proper automation, communication, and collaboration between development teams and operational teams. అంటే సేమ్ ఇదే అజైల్ వర్క్ ఫ్లో మరలో మీరు డెవాప్స్తో చూస్తే థింగ్స్ హ్యాపెన్ దిస్ వే. You as a let's say some developers write code and they maintain their code at GitHub. From there, what you do, you automate all the rest of the activities. A CI server pulls that source code, performs a build activity, creates an artifact, deploys that application to test environment. If our organizations are following TDD approach, test driven development, some test cases do run on that artifact, and everything is fine. The application is finally released to production. Okay, so we perform all these set of activities with a bunch of tools added, and we enable automation, communication, and collaboration. Lot of notifications we enable here, lot of automation steps we add, so that all this entire process of software development to delivery happens in a smooth manner. No matter whatever the tools you learn, whatever the solutions you add, every solution should lead to what say fulfill a motive, agile motive, releases ensuring quality. So you adapt to the cloud or you do infrastructure automation, whatever you do, you have to make sure that releases are happening in time. And in our DevOps journey, we are going to adapt these best practices: continuous development, continuous integration, continuous testing, delivery, continuous deployment, infrastructure automation, configuration management, monitoring, security, etc. So, what are all these? You'll get to understand in our regular classes. ఈ డెవలప్మెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఇంటిగ్రేషన్, కంటిన్యూస్ అనే కీవర్డ్ చూడండి, it's getting repeated several times because in our DevOps journey we do activities that are continuous in nature. Okay, and yeah, friends, so there are a lot of things that we should explore in our DevOps journey, and we'll unfold all of them step by step and keep going forward. Now, coming to the prerequisites to get started off with DevOps, these are the prerequisites we should have before we get started with our journey as a DevOps engineer. You should have a very good understanding on Linux basics, shell scripting, and networking basics. If we are able to if we are good enough in these concepts, we are good to dive into our DevOps journey. Okay, and coding is required. Should we have a very good exposure on coding? Means no, friends. Coding is not required, but at the same time, I want to be honest. Yes, of course, some sort of scripting knowledge is required. మీరు ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్ కోడింగ్ అయితే చేయాల్సిన పని లేదు. లైక్ ద వే హౌ డెవలపర్స్ రైట్ కోడ్, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఓరియంటెడ్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్, క్లాసెస్ ఇన్హెరిటెన్స్, పాలిమార్ఫిజం, ఆ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ కోడింగ్ అవసరమే లేదండి. బట్ in DevOps journey, there are a lot of activities that are repetitive in nature. We got to perform some activities that are repeated over and over and over again. Such activities, what you do, you automate them with some shell scripting, and you ease your job. So for our own benefit, we got to have some basic knowledge of programming, like in if conditions, while loops, for loops, how to create variables, the basics of programming. ఏ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ అయినా ఫస్ట్ 5 క్లాసెస్ మీరు విని ఆ బేసిక్స్ తెలుసుకుంటే చాలండి. దాట్ ఈస్ సఫిషియంట్ ఫర్ అస్ టు గెట్ స్టార్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ విత్ షెల్ స్క్రిప్టింగ్ అండ్ పైథాన్ స్క్రిప్టింగ్ టు other rather than that, no deeper knowledge of programming is required. Okay, so now coming to our course, these are the tools that we're going to learn in our DevOps journey. Our course is broken down into 8 modules, where the very first module is on Linux and shell scripting, where we'll teach you the basics of Linux. We teach you shell scripting, we teach you networking basics. Once we are done with basics, then we get started off with tools like Git and GitHub for version controlling and source code management, Maven, Nexus, Tomcat, SonarCube as a bunch of tools for understanding build activities, software build activities. Jenkins as a tool for automating the entire software development to software delivery, which we term it as a CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. Docker and Docker Swarm, మీకు చెప్పినట్టు మీ అప్లికేషన్ ఏ ప్లాట్ఫామ్లో డిప్లాయ్ అయినా కూడా it should work the same, like our WhatsApp, like our YouTube applications and so on. So to bring forth such uniformity, we got a tool Docker. We maintain all our container applications as containers or microservices applications with Docker as a tool, Docker Swarm as a tool for container orchestration. But there's a huge demand to a tool called Kubernetes, so we explore Kubernetes at a high level. And after that, we learn Terraform and Ansible for operational activities like creating servers in the cloud, doing some configuration activities on Ansible, and so on. Finally, the last module is a huge module where we learn some AWS services, miscellaneous concepts like Prometheus, Grafana for monitoring, Docker Python automation, Jenkins Python automation, some automation concepts, and some best practices, what to be adapted in our DevOps journey. All those are you know all those are justified in this eighth module, AWS and miscellaneous. Yeah, friends. So, what are these tools? What do we do with these tools? Everything as we progress in our journey, you'll get to understand. Yep. So, I hope by now you got an overview on what exactly is DevOps and what we are going to do in our DevOps journey. Yeah, friends. So, any questions from the discussion today? Any questions, friends, out of this discussion so far? Yeah, Kishore, any questions?
No, Prashant.
Yeah. So, you said you are working in what's say IT as a, sorry, Kishore, I have forgot.
Salesforce.
Salesforce. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Salesforce. Yeah. Yeah. So you are completely new then, right? Into to this
Yes, yes.
DevOps. Yeah. No worries, Kishore. As we progress in our journey, you'll get to know all these in more detail.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Fine. Fine. Let's call it a day then.
Yeah.
We'll continue then further. Okay?
Okay.
For any other details, you can reach out to our management. They'll update you with all the information. Thank you, Kishore. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Prashant. Prashant. ఇద్దరి కోసం డెమో